Aloha, welcome to the Mr.G podcast. This is episode 37. We're going to be talking about Berkeley, California today and a bunch of, among other things. Right now, it's a rainy 77 degrees here on the outskirts of Chinatown in Honolulu, Hawaii, the largest city in the Pacific. In particular, today, we're going to talk about the top 20 graduates of University of California, Berkeley. It goes with the previous two episodes on episode 35 and episode 36. Personally, note for listener, I've been doing this podcast for 37, 38 days now, one episode per day. I took one day off, but the best episode, my favorite one, is episode 35, the first one about Berkeley. And the reason being is because I told some unexpected stories, personal stories about me and Berkeley that just came up. And that's the key to this podcast. I don't need to have another person here. I don't need to have a guest. You're getting what you're getting. You're getting something. You're getting value from listening to this for 30 minutes. You're getting whatever I'm teaching. And I've done the same thing with wealthy people's children. Well, that sounds kind of odd. Being a teacher, a lot of teaching that I did, I see it corresponds towards this podcast. And when I do research or ahead of time, it reminds me of when I taught high school, and I would do a lot of preparation and I would look into whatever I'm looking into. And I'm a person that loves learning every day, especially right when I wake up. I just seek information. I love reading and I love learning. And I love sharing that. If you notice, the best teachers in the world, they're also very good listeners, and they also love learning, a lifetime of learning. And the reason the best teachers are the best teachers is because they're open-minded and they're able to learn new things. And what's better than sharing something new that you've learned with a friend? Um, the past yesterday's episode, we talked about Berkeley. We talked about the top graduates from the University of California, Berkeley. But the highlight of yesterday's episode was really when I went off about my neighbors making too much noise for the 20, 30 minutes I was recording. And I'm not actually proud about that. That might be the part that made people laugh, that got some clips, but that's not necessarily what I should hold my hat to. Hook 'em horns. Um, I'm wearing a Texas hat for everybody listening. The Mr.G podcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts. So Spotify podcasts, Pandora podcasts, Apple podcasts seems to be the most people listen on that. Just type in Mr. G Hawaii or Mr. G Gregory Brandt. Like I said, we're going to do the top 20 graduates from Berkeley today. But I'm also going to talk about a few things in the news as well. Because like I said, in the 36, 37 days of doing this, the spontaneity and having this not scripted and just saying whatever comes to my mind, whatever story, whatever idea. Just so I think it's good to just take a few notes every day and do more stories and not keep it so dry. Like we did a few episodes that were really good on nature, nurture, and also on free will versus destiny. And if somebody was writing a college paper about that and they discovered my podcast, they'd be like, bam, I got it. I know everything I need to know just from this 30-minute podcast. And that's good. But wanting this podcast to grow and have more listeners and have a wider net, I need to do more personal stuff because that's always been my MO. The thing that I'm best at is one-on-one conversation. So eventually, if I do start having guests, that's also you're going to see another side of me that's also going to be really good. So in the news, everybody's FYP page, if you took a on this day in history page, everyone would remember the missing submarine carrying billionaires that were looking at the Titanic. Actually, it had like two billionaires and their son. Each of them paid $250,000 for the apparently one-way trip. And I don't say that jokingly. It hearts goes out to it. You never want to make jokes about somebody losing their lives, especially in such a way. But I think in the last few hours they would have ran out of oxygen if they had survived. So that must be a really rough way to go. Somebody suggested that the sub actually went to the surface, but since they can't open it from the inside, they could have ran out of oxygen. They're floating at the surface, able to see the sky and the water and nobody coming to the rescue in time. But there's been such an extensive rescue, in particular because they are billionaires, and we need to protect billionaires at all costs, right, Elon? That was a joke right there. Okay. But so overall, like I said, it's a tragedy. But there's a famous quote I love that I say a lot, and it's pride comes before the fall. And I've noticed a lot of billionaires, from what I can see, they run out of ways to spend their money. And eating a hamburger that costs $10,000, something like that. Somebody like me who has spent a life in poverty cannot even imagine paying $250,000 to go down and look at a shipwreck of the Titanic and then come back up. That is totally ego based. That's just feeding your ego. That's just to be able to say, I'm one of the only people that have went down there and seen the Titanic. That's just feeding your ego. And I've seen so many times in life that pride comes before the fall. I have an injury on my thumb right here. Did you hear that crack? And that was because in a basketball game, I was showing off, and showing off more so than I never did before. And pride comes before the fall. And I, permanently injured my thumb like that. But I've seen that over and over in life. And so that quote has stuck with me. And so there's no reason for the billionaire to jeopardize his 19-year-old son's life by going down there in a homemade submarine. And it didn't take long to do research that submarines are supposed to all be made of the same substance. This because when you're at that depth, you have like a cylinder that's a perfect cylinder or a perfect shape, and it's strong as that circular shape. But if you need the same type of material, because if there's anything where it connects. And then I saw an interview of the guy who built the sub, and he's like, yeah, they said to not use two different types of material, but I did anyways. And he's using a game controller. That's what everybody remembers. But also the non chalant attitude of the guy that I saw in the videos. It's just billionaires sometimes have too much ways to spend too much money. And I'm not a billionaire, but you couldn't pay me to have gone on that. And it wouldn't take long research to do that. And on the first page, the waiver that they signed, to prevent any lawsuits, that should have been a red flag right there. If you have that much money, $1 billion is so much more than $1 million. As you can tell from my earlier podcast, $1 billion versus $1 million, billionaires versus millionaires. And that's generational money, for like, you don't need to risk that. In the future, once they're able to conquer aging with quantum computers, people are going to be afraid to leave their house, and people aren't going to be going to the bottom of the Titanic, to the bottom of the ocean, to see the Titanic. People are going to be afraid to leave their house once all diseases are cured, and the only way that you could die is through the malevolence of another human being. Yeah, it's and people are already getting used to that as well. Look at deliveries and everything, the strive that they have made in the last few years. A lot of people, they don't leave the house anymore. They get everything delivered, including myself. Grocery delivery was unheard of a few years ago. Come on, Lucky. So we have a rainy morning here in Honolulu, and my little kitty Lucky is asking to come inside here. So Lucky, Lucky. She's so cute right now walking through here. She's so cute, disturbing the podcast. We are going to get to the top 20 Berkeley graduates. I was going to talk about USC today, but then I realized it just gets so dry. And well, sorry, Lucky. And what do I care about USC? I will tell one story about USC. I went to the University of Texas in Austin, and they played a historic football game. I won't tell that story, what I was doing during that historic football game, but I will mention that in that national championship game in 2005, when the Texas Longhorns beat the USC Trojans to win the national championship, and Vince Young played a historic game where he rushed for touchdowns and he threw for touchdowns. During that time, I was living around the University of Texas. The game wasn't played in Austin or California. It was played at a neutral site, I believe. And during that time in the neighborhoods around the University of Texas, it was just quiet. Just there was nobody around because during that game, everybody's eyeballs was on that game. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. Now, the other time USC that I can remember is fast forward 20 years later to an unrelated USC story. I was working at a warehouse probably like maybe about 7, 8 years ago here in Hawaii. And Hawaii has the least number of college graduates of anywhere in the United States. And it's kind of like a joke here. It's whereas, uh, the person that gets the job isn't usually the most qualified for the job. And also, there's a lot of disenchantment towards Caucasians people here. There aren't many Caucasian people, but a lot of the kids are bullied in school, and there's a lot of racism towards white people here, understandably so. That's all I'm gonna say because I praise the white. Yeah. But I don't know why I was using an Indian accent. All right. But they even have like Kill Howley Day, which is the last day of school, where it's like you're supposed to beat up the white kids and stuff, but that's not an official holiday. They changed it. um, why was I talking about the here in Hawaii? Why was I talking about it? This is where I got stopped here. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was talking about the USC store. I was working at a furniture place, and uh, every manager at the furniture place had like a special blue shirt. And the managers, for whatever reason, there was like five black dudes that were the managers, which is fine, but it's just like there aren't many white people or black people in Hawaii. So the odds that like all five managers were black is a little sus. But I was friends with all the managers. They were cool with me because black people like me a lot. What can I say? All right, I got some flavor to me. And so I was friends with the managers, and we would smoke weed, actually, me and the managers. One time, a local kid pulled a knife on me there. There was a lot of anti Howley this and Howley that by some of the workers there. And one time, everybody had box cutters, and these are the furniture builders, and I worked by myself because I didn't want to build furniture with a bunch of local brothers and try to have pissing contests with them. So my job was to break up the cardboard boxes by myself, which I love. So all day I would just break boxes, just ripping boxes, and then I had a box smasher too, and I would use that. And so I was in a separate area, but they would all kind of like mock me and stuff. And even though I was probably the most educated person they would ever known, but that did come up here, and I'll tell you the story. The one of the managers in the blue shirt, he wasn't one of the black dude managers, but I was cool with him too. He was like a quiet type, you could just tell he was kind of like quiet and didn't really talk, shy, I guess, but also a grown man, probably had a wife and family and stuff. But he just gave me like a good vibe. Like sometimes with me, I play the role of like stand-up comic, or in real life interactions, like at a job or school. You're just with somebody that's kind of on the shy side or doesn't like to talk, usually a lot of women, and I'm the one that makes them feel more comfortable by talking and cracking jokes and stuff. So even though if they're not saying a word to me, they're still like giving me good vibes, laughing at the jokes and everything. So I would be there back there, and he would like stand in the area that I worked in, and so I would be like breaking boxes, and he always wore a USC cap. And some days he would wear a USC shirt, like on Casual Friday, whatever. And one day I just told him, I'm like, oh yeah, so you like USC? And he's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I wasn't gonna be like, did you go to school there? So I didn't ask that or anything because I don't know why. I guess I assumed maybe at the time that like he went to school there, but now looking back, like there's no way that guy went to college anywhere. He was a manager in a furniture place. The majority of high school teachers in Hawaii, that are not the majority, but at least a third of them have never been to college, believe it or not. And that's unlike any other school system in the United States. And that's why Hawaii has one of the lowest ranked public school systems in the United States. But uh so this guy wore a USC cap every day, and he was like all friendly with me for like months. And then one day I was just like, oh yeah, I actually graduated from UT like during the football season. I was UT played USC in that epic football game. Everybody that knows college football knows that game. And so I'm like, I actually went to University of Texas, and we beat you guys in football in 2005. And then he's like, well, he smiled and laughed like, oh, UT, you're from Austin? I was like, yeah, or I graduated from UT. And then he was just like his face just turned, like his expression from friendly just went like like and then from that day on, he did not laugh at my jokes. He was not friendly. He did not give me a good vibe. And I didn't like ask, like, oh, did you graduate from the elite University of California, University of Southern California, USC? Because he didn't. But looking back, I didn't even like think about that, I guess. Now it's just like, whoa, nobody in that fucking furniture warehouse ever went to college. And there was one guy I'll mention. He was one of the drivers or whatever. And like, so after this happened, I started mentioning to a couple other people, like, yeah, I'm probably the most educated person here. And like, there was like some office workers that liked me a lot. And one of them, she had worked there for like 40 years, but there was like a smoking section. And I was like the talk of the town, so to speak. And also, I was homeless at the time, and they tried to rub that in. One day, I actually showed up in like a woman's shirt because I like woke up and like I had I put on the wrong shirt, and then I went to work, and like one of the workers was like, "Bleh." But there was like drivers that this is a major like furniture building and delivery company in Hawaii, like the major one. And there were drivers that drove and delivered the furniture. And one of the drivers, he had like long hair, was always like misshaven and stuff. Like around that time I was talking about like, yeah, I graduated from UT Austin because I had like the lowest of the low job, right? Any job that I've had in Hawaii, they've always had me like scrubbing sidewalks so they could like stand over me and stuff, literally, even though like I'm the most qualified of like anybody there. But so that topic came up, whatever, that I have a bachelor's of journalism. They don't even know what a bachelor's of journalism is, literally. And this guy comes in, he goes to Honolulu Community College, one of the lowest ranked community colleges in the United States. I had a 4.0 in the honors program at the one of the highest ranked community colleges in the United States. So direct opposites there in Hawaii and Austin, Texas. And I'm over there crushing things. He's like, so what, you went to college? You know, and he starts asking me, and I don't even know this guy. He's like a driver. I was like, yeah, you know, I have actually have a 4-year bachelor's degree. I didn't say 4 year. I was like, I have a bachelor's degree in journalism. He's like, bachelor's journalism? I'm like, yeah. And then he was like going to community college. He's like, 1 year and a half, I'll be same. You know, 2 years. He was like part Micronesian or something. He's like, I go to Honolulu Community College, good grades, you know. And then I'm just like, oh, okay. He's like, I'll be top of you. I'll have more education than you in a year and a half. And he's talking about getting like an associate's degree from community college. And I'm just thinking, like, yeah, a year and a half. Yeah, you'll be almost at my level. Yeah. Like literally, like, no, bro. If you wanted to be where I'm at, you would, there's no school on this island in this state of Hawaii. You're at the one of the worst community colleges. If you know you want to top me with a degree from the second ranked journalism school from a public Ivy League university. Well, like I'm trying to help you here. So let's try to figure out how you could do this. Cause I really want you to top me, guy working at the furniture place. So it's like, how would you be able to do that? Well, there are better schools than the University of Texas, Berkeley being one of them. I suppose he could have flown, commuted to the mainland to Berkeley every day, but you know, getting into Berkeley is extremely hard. Not many Honolulu Community College students would actually be accepted to Berkeley, even with a 4.0 grade point average. The reason I was accepted to the University of Texas Austin journalism program is because I went to the community college right next door to the University of Texas in Austin, and I was in the honors program at the community college right next door to UT Austin. And I was also the editor of the newspaper at the community college newspaper, which was right next door to the University of Texas, that also had a college newspaper. So that's I did a lot of work pre-hand to make it so it wasn't easy, because the school I transferred into only had a 10% acceptance rate, similar to University of California, Berkeley. But like I said, I had to do that work ahead of time. And that comes from somebody that actually dropped out of high school. So top that, brother, top that. That's impossible. Like, because you didn't drop out of high school, right? And then you didn't do like it's just absurd. And why is anybody trying to compete with me anyway? Why are you trying to have a pissing contest with me anyway? But it was kind of sad. The manager that actually liked me there at the furniture place, a local guy, you know, he was just like, his smile just wiped away as soon as he realized that I wasn't joking, that I did, you know, have a 4-year degree, and that I wasn't in his manager's special position. And it's like that everywhere. And I don't mean to talk smack about people, but I take a bike ride downtown here in Honolulu, and you see like all these office workers and, state employees, and a lot of them are like morbidly obese and just out there smoking cigarettes, and they're dressed in their work casual, and they're getting paid like 30, 40, $50 an hour. Their whole life is paid for, and they're driving like a nice car, I'm special, and with their fucking obese, like, what the fuck? Like, hey, I'm 43, by the way, and I point that out to them too. Like, I point that out to everybody my age. Hey, motherfucker, I'm 43. Ha ha. Winning. Uh, um, it's like, but still, like, you see all those office workers. I'm not jealous of them. I don't wish that I was that obese and went to a 40-hour a week job, but their condescending attitude towards somebody like me dressed like this, riding on a bike, it's just like, I just want to stop the bike. I have more education than all of you. Let's all take an IQ test. Every fucking one of you business motherfuckers taking the train that takes you out to the bedroom communities in Honolulu, while you sit in 2-3 hours of traffic. Hey guys, let's all I'll go up against any one of you. None of you can type 100 words a minute. Maybe one or two of you, and like, it's just like, and why are they like picked? It's like I said, I don't want to be in that position, but I wouldn't be invited to that position anyways, because I'm too real. And the same reason my content is suppressed as well. Like, some of the stories I tell were the same stories I told for an NPR show that I opened every day, every week. They had a weekly show on NPR. I opened it every week for 6 weeks or more. It was called Oh Dark 30. And I told a personal story every week. I would just write out a story and I would read it on the air. And this was in 2011. What the fuck happened to all that, huh? It was online briefly, then I contact the producers. They're like producing like for This American Life and Radio Lab, and he's like, oh, I don't know, they just disappeared. It's just like, what the fuck? Like, you could be the best at something, you could do a great job and give it your all, and it's still not good enough, even if it is good enough. I wrote an awesome book, Gonzo Education. Everybody that's read the book has given it 5 stars on Amazon. It's one of the highest reviewed books on Amazon, but it's not paying the bills. Hardly anybody has ever read it. The 99% of all self-published books gets read by 2 people, the writer and the writer's mother. But my book has been read by hundreds of people, and it's a great book. It starts when I drop out of high school and ends when I graduate from the University of Texas in Austin, which would tell you right there, a school of journalism, nonfiction writing is what I got my degree in. I didn't get my degree in social work or political activism. I didn't go to school to get any particular job, because look at it. That's what I said. Even in Hawaii, those office jobs, you got to know somebody. Also, it's me. A lot of people don't like my flavor. Look how many haters I got. I'm polarizing as fuck for whatever reason. You either love me or you hate me. There's no gray area. It's absurd. The people that don't want me to do this podcast are the people that don't want me to succeed. And I think of people like my older sister, Carrie, who's 4 years older than us. And I haven't talked to her since my mother's funeral. But I remember when me and my twin brother were at the Berkeley Public Library, something I would not normally do. He went to the library. I mean, he went to the library's bathroom, and he was using my laptop, and he had his email open. So I was just wondering, I know he had corresponded with her, throughout the 4 years that I was at UT, and I had recently graduated. So I was like wondering, oh, for the first time, they might be proud of me. I dropped out of high school, but still graduated from the University of Texas in Austin, the school that she always wanted to go to, but she didn't have the grades to go to. And she had the money, her parents' money. She actually lied on her college application and said that she lived with our mother because our mother made much less money than our father. That way she was able to scam the financial aid process. And I know she's listening too, because she's been stalking me for years. That's so funny too. That's why I'm mentioning this. You hear this, Carrie? Remember that? Remember how you used mom's address, 8734 Glen Bluff, on your college application, but you never lived at 8734 Glen Bluff. I know, because that was mom's house, but you did that because she made less money than our sick fucking father, right? But he gave you so much money. You got a brand new Mustang for your 16th birthday. Your daddy took care of you. Your daddy took care of you, especially at this time. She ended up going to school at Incarnate Word because her daddy was a professor there. That was the only way she was able to receive a college degree, because her daddy was a tenured professor at Incarnate Word College in San Antonio. Guess what? You don't have the power now, do you, Carrie? Huh? You used to be able to beat the fuck out of me when I was a kid. You used to be able to punch me in the face. I couldn't do anything about it, huh? I don't want anything to do with you now, but just to let you know, I hope you enjoy listening. So, top 20 Berkeley graduates. That's kind of a change of pace, but seriously, who has people yelling out their window while they're doing a podcast? Shut up! Shut up! It's like, whoa, I got some haters, fucking galore. That fucking Ice Poseidon guy, first time I've said his name in years. I literally hung out with him for 5 minutes, but his like community, him and other streamers like saw me. So he's part of a community. And they've literally been like thinking that for 5 years, even though I had nothing to do with those fucking incels, like stuff like that. Who starts a podcast and on your first few episodes, you have a young kid in his 20s? I don't even fucking know. I have no connection with him. His parents have a 1-bedroom out there yelling, shut up, Mr. G, shut up. Like, what the, why do you want me to shut up? Just like with my sisters, she hates that I'm doing this podcast. Oh, that emails that I got. See, let's finish that. While I was at the Berkeley, he must be on drugs. Look how he's talking. No, motherfucker, I can just talk. I don't do drugs at all. I wish I had some pot. That's one reason why I'm talking a lot. That's one reason why I'm in this opinion. I'm drinking coffee and Mountain Dew like a motherfucker. All right. So in Berkeley, California, my brother goes to the bathroom and I check his emails between him and my sister, because even though I haven't spoken to her since our mother's funeral, I know my brother had email correspondence. And in that email, I'm thinking, oh, she might be like, say something because I graduated from UT, something good. And then I see, like, while I was at UT, she's saying, is it true that Gregory really goes to University of Texas, Austin? I think that's pretty fucked up because he can't afford it and he's not going to graduate. So why even go? All right. Then I look at another email from her a couple years later, after I graduated. And then it says, I hope he doesn't think he's hot shit because he graduated. The only reason he did was because he got financial aid. Denial. I win. And after I saw that, I was just like, she really is fucking stupid as fuck. She really is in denial. Like, hey, your daddy did a number on you, bitch. 80-90% of all undergraduates in the United States receive some kind of financial aid. Bitch, I was homeless. You think I'm not going to get some money for books? Like, she says, oh, you didn't graduate. The financial aid did. So you're saying that 80-90% of college graduates didn't graduate because they got the Pell Grant. Jimmy Carter, when he was president, his daughter received the Pell Grant. I'm sorry, Jimmy Carter's daughter. We're going to have to take your college diploma. You had too much financial aid. Like, what the fuck? Like that's where she's almost 50 years old. That's where she's got to justify it, like her behavior and the abuse that me and my twin brother suffered. Everybody wants to remember you the way you were when they had the most power over you. So even though I haven't seen her in 20 plus years, she wants to remember me as the guy, the little kid that she was able to punch in the face. She sent me this disgusting letter. They're really scared too. One reason why she doesn't want this podcast, she doesn't want me to be successful. She doesn't want me to have the money for an attorney. They did some shady ass shit with our grandparents' will, and they're like, the second I contacted somebody about our grandparents' will, never spoke to them, my sister, her husband, nobody for 20 years. And then I found out my grandparents died, and I just contacted somebody about their will, because growing up, my grandfather would always say, oh, we're going to give you boys this and that and this and that. And then I found out they died a few years ago, and I just sent an email to the person handling the estate. Never contacted my sister, never contacted her husband, nobody. But the second I sent the email to the Kerrville Memorial Center that handled the funeral and the estate and everything, immediately my sister and her husband are like, restraining order. He's the estranged brother. has asked about his deceased grandparents. Ah! Like, ha ha, you hiding something, bitch? Huh? You gonna go on the dark web, look for a hitman to take me out? Because I'm still here, and that'd be a tough task as well. You got to find a tough hitman as well, because I'm fucking packing most of the time too. So I'm a rough character, and I guess that's pretty mean, huh? I'm pretty hard on my sister on this podcast, but fuck you. She's one of my only listeners. I'll be hard on anybody else too. I can do that if I want to. All right. I'm gonna say we didn't mention any Berkeley graduates. We'll just do a few per day because this is funner. This is fucking funner. And this is what you would enjoy. This is what's going to get clipped. But a Berkeley graduate that I was surprised to hear was Gregory Peck, born in 1916, died in 2003 at age 87. He studied at Berkeley all the way back in 1939. And Gregory Peck is significant for me because that's who I was named after. My two sisters that I mentioned, they were named after ex-girlfriends of our father. That's pretty sick, right? And they were like his little wives as well. That's why they were named after ex-girlfriends. But and my brother was named after him. But so my mom only got to name one of her four kids. She had two sets of twins, and she only got to name one. And she named me after her favorite actor, Gregory Peck. And Alfred Gregory Peck was an American actor, most popular in films from the 1940s to 1970s. In 1999, the American Film Institute named Peck the 12th greatest male star of classic Hollywood cinema. And he is very, he has a presence, Gregory Peck. When he speaks, he has a presence. When he's in the room, you know he's in the room. And he has a very strong, noble, honest vibe. And I like to think that I have somewhat of the same. The Mr. G podcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts, Amazon podcast, iHeartRadio podcast, and everywhere else you get podcasts. Full episodes of the Mr. G podcast are uploaded in their entirety on Twitter and YouTube. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for watching. It was an interesting show today, and join us again tomorrow when we have Lucky the Black Cat causing chaos. And I'll have some more personal stories. I'll have some more antidotes, and I'll have some more little tidbits about life. Everybody, say your prayers and be grateful that we're alive, because there's billionaires at the bottom of the ocean that wish that they had the same. They would have given all their billions of dollars to trade and be in the position of either you and me. So let's all be grateful for that. Us being alive is worth billions in itself, and is a miracle in itself. Everybody have a great day. Aloha.